Much more to talk about than my adventures with the black bear.
Well, what was funny is I was walking one night and I sat down on this park bench, and there was this guy sitting on the other end of the park bench, and as soon as I sat down, he stood up. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you or anything." And he says, he said in Turkish, which I couldn't understand. He said something, and I got my phone out and apologized on my phone, and he said, "Oh, no, it's me. It would be impolite for me to sit with an elderly person without first being invited." So I said, "Please sit with me, on my phone." And we sat for a couple hours and just talked through our phone.
You old guy.
He was the coolest guy.
Isn't that amazing what that technology allows?
And you can take your phone now, you can point it at a sign or a restaurant menu, and it'll tell you, it'll just translate it into English. Just amazing.
No, when I was in Europe in 1975, it was, okay, they brought the wrong Spanish interpreter, so my French, which was pretty good, and we ran into an Italian, literally, no joke. And between the French and Italian, we understood the Spanish. There was no way.
Skylar, how do you pronounce his name?
Monse?
Monse? Okay. So, Catherine, do you want to read one of the student, or one of the employee achievements?
Sure. Monse or Slater?
Slater?
Or Monse, whichever.
Monse or is it Slater or Slatter?
Slater.
Okay, here's Slater and Monse. You guys can split those up.
Oh, I got him here. We've got him in here.
And do you want to do Ella?
I can.
All right.
I can.
I apologize.
Oh, you're
Sorry.
25 seconds early.
Slater?
Anything else before I take you down? Skylar?
We're just dividing, and you just walked in.
Okay, it is 5:15 on August 25th. This is the board meeting for the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District. Meeting's called to order. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, declaration of conflict. Catherine.
No.
Sue.
Yes.
Celeste. Michael.
No.
Public comment.
Excuse me for just a second, let me grab my sheet.
Mary or Bob, do you have a comment for us?
I do.
I do.
Awesome.
You signed it first.
You got
Oh, we
You
didn't get our scoreboard out. I have to, run the
I
time.
can time it on my phone.
If you can just give me 1 second. I have one person in the waiting room, and I just want to verify they're in the right spot.
Well, Darren can just put 3 minutes on the computer.
While you're doing that, we'll take a moment of silence for Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Poor thing, breaks my heart.
Oh.
She passed away today.
Yeah, it was announced at the end of a class today.
Well,
And
my
that's why
favorite,
the flights are half staff.
oh, my favorite quote, the trouble with trouble, it starts out fun. That's one.
That is a good quote.
That is a good
Yeah.
Hey, Michael Miller, are you on the board meeting Zoom call? Michael, can you hear me? All right, well, you're muted. If you would like to offer public comment, you'll just need to unmute at some point. I think we're going to do the in-person public comment first, and then we'll give you an opportunity, okay? All right. You got the timer, or do you want me to do it?
I got timer.
Thanks, Darren. Darren's got it.
Yep.
You got the timer, you wanna give him a 30-second warning when it's running out?
Will do.
Because he can't see the clock. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, Bob Hammond, 81305, Highway 101, Cannon Beach. I just wanted to report back on the completion of phase one of our swim team trial. So as Carolyn and I committed, like 3 or 4 months ago, to register a seasonal USA club, which we did. We ran practices with Coach Amanda for about, I think, 10 to 12 weeks, registered 18 swimmers, and 12 of them swam at the Newport 2 weeks ago. They represented themselves very well. I think the kids, most of them had personal bests. We had a couple of heat winners. We had one swimmer who got a B+ time, which is just shy of a state championship qualifying time on his first meet. So it was good. And so now we have put forth a proposal for a phase 2. Since we have a couple of months left on our registration, we have an opportunity to swim in a couple of fall meets if people are interested. That proposal is on Skylar's desk right now, but we need to move if we're going to do it. Because one of the problems we had, I think, for phase 1 is we got started very late. And so we really weren't able to register any new swimmers beyond those that were already either on the club team or were high school, were sort of high school swimmers. And the hope was that we would be able to recruit some new swimmers. That didn't happen. I think we're probably in the same position now. It's going to be tough. If we get going, though, we may be able to get some new swimmers over the course of the season, since we will be in spring. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. What's the critical mass of swimmers that we need to?
100?
100.
You need swimmers to pay for coaches. So it's more than just critical mass of numbers. It's a pipeline that starts with younger kids and goes up to high school, and in the way they sort of subsidize each other. You need a balanced team, and you need a couple of coaches. And right now, we're sort of struggling along with one coach who's got other commitments, so we need to fix that.
Well, I don't think North Coast Swim Club ever had 100 swimmers.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
he has what critical mass was.
Yeah,
I mean, economic critical mass is, for a team that doesn't have the subsidy of an aquatics district or a recreation district, is probably 100 swimmers. You got to pay for pool time and all those things.
Thanks, Bob. Mary.
Mary Blake, 1668 West Spring Pines, Seaside, Oregon. Smiles. Never in my professional life have we ever had a regularly scheduled poop check. I have swum in Sunset Pool for 42 years and managed 14 facilities for the Portland Bureau of Parks and Recreation for 10 years. August 15th, I was swimming in the open swim from 3 to 5 because I was turned away at the regularly scheduled lap swim because it was rented to a private group. At 4 p.m., all the lifeguards, 4 of them, came out to the deck, a whistle was blown, and an announcement to clear the pool was made. I watched as the swimmers followed the direction of the guards. At least half of the swimmers left the pool area and the rest went to the spectator area. I was still in the pool and asked what was up, and was told I too needed to exit the pool. I went to the spectator area, wet, cold, and with the others wondering why we were told to get out. No explanation was given. 4 guards walked around together around the pool, and all 4 looked at something under the zip line. This took about 7 minutes. Then an announcement was made that we could get back into the pool. There were about 65 people. So that's a good answer to your question, Kyle, is that the numbers are growing up. So there were 65 when I got into the pool, and when we resumed, there were only 25, because half of them, or more than half of them, left. At the end of the swim, I asked one of the lifeguards what was that. They explained it was a new Saturday procedure for checking for poop. I asked, did that procedure get approved by administration? And I'm asking you, I didn't ask the lifeguard, did that procedure get approved by administration? I would like a written response on this new Saturday procedure. Because I really am taking it really seriously about filling that pool. And I think that there's clearly somebody is trying to empty it. So I am eager to hear your response. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. Is there anybody online, Michael, or do you wish to offer public comment? Are we muted?
I can't say for certain, but I think the audio is set up correctly.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
he's not gonna respond, then I'm assuming that he hears us or that he doesn't. But
Okay.
he's not wanting to
It was
offer public
a
comment.
scheduled
He could just
on
be doing
time.
the meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Correspondence.
There's no correspondence in the packet this month.
A recognition of awesome employees. Catherine.
Monse Velasquez Contreras is the Employee of the Month for August 2026, along with several others. Monse brings such a positive and caring energy to youth programs. She is wonderful with the kids and does a great job making them feel supported, included, and excited to participate. Her upbeat personality and willingness to jump in and help wherever needed make her a valuable part of our team. We are so lucky to have her, and I would just like to personally add, she was a fan favorite of my children. So congratulations, Monse.
Way to go, Monse. Sue.
So I am reading about Slater Martinez. He is Employee of the Month for August 2026. Slater is always ready to lend a hand and takes on whatever is needed with a great attitude. He connects naturally with the kids and brings a fun, friendly personality that adds so much to our programs. His positivity, flexibility, and willingness to support his coworkers make him a valuable member of the youth programs team. We are grateful for all he does. Congratulations, Slater.
Thank you, Slater. And Michael.
Ella Crater is Employee of the Month for August 2026. Ella has been a wonderful example of teamwork and dedication in the aquatics department. She recently joined our swim lesson program and is trained to become a swim instructor. Ella brings a positive and welcoming presence to the pool and is always willing to learn, contribute, and support those around her. We are proud to have her on our team and grateful for all she does. Congratulations, Ella.
Thank you, Ella.
And I get to second that because I see her at work, and I'm grateful she's part of our team.
Thank you, Sue. Approval of board meeting minutes, not the workshop minutes, the board meeting minutes from July 28th. Any moves, adds, or changes? Do I have a motion?
I had a comment, which everything is fine. I wanted to ask one question on the bottom under new business, Skylar. It says, in discussing the new fiscal year and board operational organization, Mr. Archibald recommended that the board reaffirm their current schedule and of the fourth, I just thought it was, he didn't direct that, he asked us, and then he suggested, it's almost like, I just wanted to make sure that you were okay with the wording, because it says, he also suggested keeping the current board officers in their roles. It really, no, you didn't do that, you just asked. And so I was just a little surprised at that statement, because it's true, we didn't make any changes except the few, that we did for board meetings and all that are conflicting with holidays and vacations and things like that. But I just wanted to be sure that you were comfortable with that, Skylar, the way it's stated.
Sure. I appreciate that. I might also, edit the word suggested to be a different word, maybe, inform the board that they have the discretion to keep their current officer slate intact or
Right.
make changes. But I think, if you reviewed the meeting minutes, or the audio recording, you'd see, definitely, don't put my foot over there in that part of the job where you guys get to determine what's best for the district and for your organization.
Well, see, the other part was under board comment, I was reading, and it's like, you know, I know I said more than what's written here, but really that's not a big deal. And other people said things that I said also, so we covered it. It's just, I thought it was, not as clean as what I remember us talking about. But it's not something to say, oh, I refuse to accept this. My concern was, you didn't direct us, you asked. And so that was my concern about the minutes.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes from July with updated language to the board review of officer positions.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, Catherine?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Board workshop minutes, this is August 11th workshop. Any comments, moves, adds, or changes? Is there a motion?
I'll move to accept the, board workshop minutes of August 11th, 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, Catherine?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Savannah?
Yeah, let me just see it, so I'm gonna stand at this angle, I hope that's okay. Wide angle, I was trying to get out of the camera.
How we all feel.
It's all right. I just get to watch this back.
Here, come stand right in front of me.
If only, you're more important too.
Oh, no.
Hey, Skylar, would you mind turning the light?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Don't mind at all.
Thank you.
How's that look for everybody? Hang on, let me see. Thank you. Okay. You just tell me when you're ready to roll.
Thank you. Okay, well, I know that I have about 10 minutes, so I might slide through with good questions I'm happy to answer. I am giving you just a brief high view overview of the human resources and our marketing over the last year. I stepped into my role last August, so it's been a year. From the marketing, I kind of took over a little bit more in January, and so my information is more from 2026 for the marketing, but some of the current projects I've been working on are employee retention and working with our managers and trying to strengthen our onboarding process. A lot of work is put into that. So the things I'm working on are a welcome email that gets sent out to our new staff with information that they need to know to help them get ready to go on their first day, that helps outline all the trainings that they need to know, outlines all the management team, because as awesome as it is to meet everyone, and I do, as I do a facility tour, it's hard to remember everyone, so I felt like if we had a little chart showing them too, that's helpful. So that's some of the things I've been working on. We've been working on, as a management team, a lot of employee recognition, and that's been super well received by our staff, and that's been really rewarding to see. And some of the systems and processes in the HR world, like having all of our interview questions look the same, things like that, making sure all of our managers know how to utilize the write-up sheet and why they're important and how they can help our staff be accountable in a ethical and kind way. So all of those things are some of the things I've been working on throughout the year. And some of the goals I've had as I've gotten to know our management team and our staff are to continue to empower our managers and equip them with the confidence to lead and the confidence to delegate to those staff members who are learning those leadership skills. That's something that has been a passion project for me in the background. So I'm excited that our managers are starting to take that on a little bit more for themselves, helping them with their own workload and making sure everything flows smoothly. Continuing with our leadership support, so mostly Skylar with that, helping with the admin duties, taking on some of those clerical tasks, imperfectly at times for sure, but I do my best. So that's another goal that I'm working on. And then also another goal is just to provide developmental opportunities for all of our staff, trying to give them the opportunity to learn and to grow and to learn more about Parks and Rec specifically. I think it's important for them to know kind of why it's important and try to get some of our, especially younger staff, to be interested in a career in Parks and Rec. I think that's really important, I guess, at this stage in their life. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in the last year, I onboarded and hired 35 staff members, and it takes about, from like the first initial contact, I suppose, to actually getting the first day in the classroom or on the lifeguard chair, it can take up to 12 hours of my time and management time to get them ready to go. So that's been a huge push on my end, trying to help make sure that we're fully staffed and have the people that we need to function properly. I thought it would be nice for you to see just a staffing snapshot that we have. So we have 68 really incredible employees, and right now the majority of them are within their first to second end of their second year. I kind of lumped them a little bit differently. But our new hires, that's our staff who have started in the last year. Our year plus is our first and second year staff members, and then 3 plus is our 3 and 4, and then 5 years. So working on trying to get our staff members' retention numbers up and have people here who are here for 5+ years is obviously a goal, but that's where we are with our staff. So some other things that we've done for connecting the district, just district-wide, it's been Staff Spirit Days. We have them coming up this week on Friday. We're doing sports, so wearing your jersey or wearing a hat or something, obviously district appropriate, but that's been something that's connected us. I think our best dressed one was probably our first one. So I'm excited for everyone to get that moment and continue it on, but I know that our Hawaiian tropical shirt day was well loved as well. So if you're wanting to participate and wanting to come in, we'd love to see you. I won't take your pictures unless you're all here. And if you're all here, dress up, I will take your pictures.
So Savannah, I have a couple of questions about this slide. First, I was a little, I won't say alarmed, but, 35 staff members in 1 year.
A lot.
What, do you measure the turnover rate? What's our turnover rate?
I do, I have that number. I don't have a ratio, but we had 26 staff members leave for various reasons, and the majority were because of school or because they got different job opportunities, found more full-time job opportunities, and one example is my own sister who was here for the summer and she went back to school in a different state. So things like that was the most common, and honestly that is quite common with a part-time job. But there were other staff members who just weren't the right fit for us, or who weren't the right fit for them, and they wanted something different. So,
Well, I'm looking at your data here, so 60% of our employees have less than 3 years of experience.
it is something that next year will be different if everyone.
I hope so.
Continue on our
And you're
trajectory.
spending, if my math is right, you're spending 1/5 of your time just onboarding new employees.
It takes some time. But you want to do it right, and so I do like to do it a little bit maybe more.
No, I had it in my head that we had a much more stable workforce, so I looked at this and was a little surprised, I guess.
I understand. Well,
I love that you're tracking this, by the way, so
Yeah.
I think it's great. I also do wonder if it would make sense, because by design, some of the positions are temporary and part-time, right? Like, so I'm wondering if that would maybe feel a little bit different?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like.
All of our positions except for our full-time staff are part-time, and so we've only had one full-time staff member in this year.
Oh, that's important.
So, but maybe to be,
Maybe to that
'cause-
context.
so you might want to measure retention in two categories of types of staff, like professional staff and seasonal staff, or something, or temporary staff, or something like that, because
Yeah,
I think it might change
the outlook.
the outlook of
It makes
things.
it look worse than it is. I
Correct,
think.
right, yeah. But I love that you're measuring it, I think
Yeah,
it's great,
absolutely.
and that you're tracking the metrics, yeah.
Well, I will say the example I gave was maybe one of our outliers in terms of data, like my teacher specifically is only one of a few
Mhm.
in that capacity. Okay, next slide. Unless there's more questions. Okay, I am gonna move on to marketing, because I know that is a passion project for us all. So, our marketing, again, I kind of took over a little bit more of the January timeframe. And so, the district marketing overall look has changed, and been a little bit more cohesive. I hope that that's been noticed, but, that was one of the beginning tasks, of making sure everything kind of communicated the same language, the same voice. That way it became a familiar thing for our community to, recognize, I guess, and look for when they're, hearing from us. And so that's one of the projects and things that I've been working on. And my goals, I guess I'm kind of just skipping down, but my goals for this are to increase our visibility and participation in programs. Obviously, we talked about strategic plans and making sure that we have, community awareness of all the great things that we have, and getting more people involved in the district. That starts and has a huge part in marketing. And so, spreading out our marketing resources amongst the district can be a little bit of a juggling act, because we have so many great things happening. And so between our events and our 5 different departments and all the community things that we are involved with, it does take a little bit of a balance to try and make sure that we're promoting everything all at once, but also not overwhelming our viewers, and making it enticing to learn about is also important. So that balance I struck just because of my marketing experience. It's been about 3 posts a week, and then continuing on obviously with our other marketing channels. But I have primarily been in charge of our social media, using that as our main platform, in addition to other resources, obviously, like our playbook. That was something, a collaboration effort with our narrative team. We put that out, and this is our new one for the next season. So it's been really rewarding and fun to see. And part of the marketing goals has been taking a lot more inventory of pictures and things. I've been working on that a lot as well.
I wanted to comment about something we spoke about today. This playbook, I keep a copy. I've been handing my copy away because people have said, one person was like, what do you mean there's childcare? So this gentleman didn't have a clue that there's a whole building and there are children in it and all that, and it's just like the same idea. There's a pool in Seaside, we've gotten that, and I handed one out with, yes, look at page 7 and come get in the pool, because we have one. And so I find it really fascinating that people still don't understand what we do. And I know last month we mentioned the billboard, and when you come into Seaside where the aquarium was advertised for years, you know, like maybe it's our turn to say if it's financially feasible. We're here. The pool's here, but so is childcare, and so are other things that we do. I think it's remarkable to me that there are people that don't understand, and so obviously we need to fix that.
I love that, and thank you for being a great ambassador for us.
That's interesting. That's a good point, Sue. I've noticed, and I've heard comments from other community members that they're still unaware that they still call it the Broadway Middle School. They do not know that it's a recreation center now. But we have no signage on there that identifies that. You know, we have the entrance on Broadway, and it says, you know, lunch program and all this stuff, but there's nothing out there that says Sunset Recreation Center. I know we had a banner out there for a while, and it probably got wind damage and blew away, and the support frame is damaged and so on, but we really need to, there are a lot of people who've lived here for years who do not know that Broadway Middle School is actually the SRC.
You're right, that rebranding and that physical marketing and signage is really important. And that is a project that we are definitely, maybe should honestly be in the strategic plan, because it's gonna take some money to get everything to look just right.
It is in the plan.
Yeah.
Great, cool. So then we're good. We'll get it. I love it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So for our marketing data, this is Facebook and Instagram specifically, but this is our content information. And again, this is January to August, but our social media has performed quite well over the summer because of our farmers market. Partly because I've changed up the format of what we're putting out in the format of doing videos, which are super trendy and super fun to watch, and so that's helped get some more viewers. But because of that, we've gotten new page followers, more people are seeing our content, people are sharing it and getting to know about the farmers market and also the recreation center. And so I'm thankful for Zoe and all she does and all the awesome things we have in the market. People are wanting to know about it, and that's helped us a lot with our online presence.
So there's roughly 10,000 people in our orbit, and we got 30,000 viewers that we're reaching.
Yeah. I can't even tell you the demographics, but we don't have
Too much for this presentation, but yeah,
It's pretty
I'm
awesome.
glad that you're capturing that.
I'm really proud of our team. They're very camera photogenic. It's great. They do well. And so ultimately, I'd say, this is my last slide, so ultimately I'd say our marketing has performed well, and that momentum has to be captured and continued, and so more videos and more interesting content has to be created. So I get to think about new ways to highlight the district with videos, and we get to talk to our patrons and see if they're going to be interested in seeing our social media. Things like that is kind of the next phase for social media and online process.
Has that marketing data had an impact on the farmers market census?
That's a great question. I think that Zoe will have better information at the end. I know that Sunshine is also really helpful with that too.
Not understand.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Any other questions about HR or marketing?
No, I just had one comment, and thank you for what you're doing. We've got, is it six sections of our strategic plan? And 5, and 2 of them belong to you. So I would encourage you to engage yourself in the strategic plan as it comes out, because a lot of that's going to fall on your shoulders. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay, I rise to the pressure most of the time.
Okay.
Thank you for the warning. Hopefully I'll do a good job. I guess in response to that, thank you, Kyle, but my goal really is to lead with compassion and consistency and connection. So you said it's important to be consistent in everything you do. That's what makes you connected and credible in the things that you do. So that's really important to me. That's why I try to be consistent in our HR processes and also in our marketing. So that's all. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Savannah.
Thank you, Savannah.
I just have
Are there any
one-
questions for Savannah?
Well, not a question, but a thought. You were talking about your onboarding process and how just having like the certain people listed so they can put names. And I know I don't know if you know this, but work at school, we have a shared drive and it has every staff member's picture and name in it. And I get response a lot from new folks oh, that's who that was. I don't know if you have, like do
We
you
do
have
have a
staff
shared
pictures for everybody?
folder. Well, it's really hard to get people to do picture day, I'll tell you what, but that is also
Well,
what I've had.
But I mean, Darren
We do-
made badges.
We do have our ID badges for our staff, so yeah.
I would
we
just
have that.
say maybe potentially that might be a nice thing for people to have access to, so that they can bump into somebody in the hall.
I like
and be
that.
I know who that was.
That actually is super helpful, so it's already accessible, I just gotta get it maybe then.
Yeah.
But whoever took the pictures of our employees of the month did an awesome job. These
Yeah.
are great pictures of
A
them.
couple of them were,
Self-submitted.
well, I took the one that's later, so.
Excellent job.
And I just wanna say, I love that we're using real photos and not stock photography, for instance, because I
Yeah.
think some people do refer to that, and I think it's noticeable to see the real picture.
I appreciate
Well, and it's
that.
also fun for people that are in the picture to be like, oh, okay, I made an impact on the district. you know?
Exactly, that's super great, I love.
Well, then last month, I was able to show Skylar a picture of a lady who is rehabilitating, and we had a picture of her before she was ill. And you look at her and the fact that she is climbing her way back, along with people who are working with her, it's just inspirational to see that.
Well, thank you for all of your, kind words, I love this job.
We appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sam.
And you don't have to say, you
I
gotta
want to.
watch
I
it.
get to watch you all
I
back.
know.
I'll see you on my screen later.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Savannah. Review of financials, and we're gonna review June first, correct?
So,
June financial statement. This is updated from our last meeting. So are there any comments, questions on the June financial statement?
Which one are we revisiting the June one?
Yeah, because it had some,
Yeah, right.
misadventures last month.
Can you remind us what those, I should have prepared for this. You remember what the problem was
This
last
was the
night?
bad one, this is the one that we were given, this is the one in the packet, and this is a question I have that I forgot to ask Tyler. So,
riddle.
so on this one, which was the redo, that, before we could vote, I wrote, what I wrote was within $20,000, and I wrote spent 99.5%, and yet it says 88.65. Why do I have that note there?
Sorry, so I couldn't tell you, I don't know, which category or line
See,
you're
this is
referring
The
to.
bad one.
But I think,
This is the same.
I see the 88.65%, that's, revenues plus net working capital, the last row down at the bottom right is that number. But as far as the other numbers that you said, I'm not sure. I guess I would say, I mean, it's up to you how you want to process the old information that you had, but you're welcome to disregard that and just use the new information. Since there was a couple of errors, I think, not the whole sheet was wrong, but there was a couple things that we needed to edit, and we did that.
I think that what I circled on the new one you gave us last month was the, total expenses of $3.818 million. And I think that's where my within $20,000 came from. But I was curious why I wrote, you know, because we're at the end of the year, it's supposed to be 100%. And we were at 88.65, yet I wrote something from, you know, that I grabbed from out in the, well, blue yonder, spent 99.5%, and I don't know where that came from.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry I didn't ask you that.
It's okay. I mean, it's fairly normal that the percentages are not gonna line up to 100. We're adjusting the budget as the fiscal year wears on, and, I think obviously you all were aware because we had conversations about it and we had budget committee meetings, like the budget was very tight and we knew that it was gonna be the case almost as soon as we entered last fiscal year. So as we got further on in the fiscal year, more tightening occurred, for lack of a better way of putting it, and more restraint occurred, and we budgeted differently and tried to preserve our resources as long as possible. We had to reallocate some of our resources to SRC projects and other things that came up that were sort of unanticipated. We also had revenue changes and things that we had anticipated when we prepared the budget, you know, a year and a half ago that didn't come to fruition, like a full-time tenant in the SRC is a really easy example that we can point to. There's some other revenue points that we weren't able to hit. And so all those things impact the budget. It's a working document throughout the year, and this is a report generated to try to reflect on the year. But obviously you'll get the audit report here hopefully in the next 60 to 90 days, and we'll have the full financial picture for you to review.
One of the things, I haven't gone through it closely enough, but I'm a little concerned that some of the numbers are so off from the old reports, the new reports. Do we know what the errors were on the old?
I think
The formula is just the formula.
They just didn't carry over? Okay, so we shouldn't necessarily be.
I don't think so. I mean, you can, like I said, but I don't think it's really. I think when you have formulaic errors in Excel or in that type of document, it's easy to go back and wonder and try to figure out. But it's not. There's not an attempt to present incorrect financial.
No, I didn't think that. It's just whether
like,
or not something changed in but you think it's just a formula error that happened.
Yeah, there was one area. I think it was. Sure, I don't have the old one in front of me either, but there was one area that was off significantly. It was because of a formulaic error, but
Okay.
that's been corrected now.
I've seen errors come up in my spreadsheets, over time. Sometimes when you constantly overwrite a previous document and, maybe update a document, when you're formatting the document,
Yeah.
sometimes things happen.
One of the big
Excel
ones
will
was
change.
aquatics was, the fiscal year to date was at 0.
Yes, in revenue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that messed up everything. But that's
Sometimes you just have to create a whole new formula and spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So Skylar, a couple of questions.
Sure.
So, and I'm looking at the fiscal year-to-date column, and it says that we took in 3.5 million and change, and we spent 3.3 million and change. So we should have about 200,000 working capital carried over from last year. Is that about right? I mean,
Yeah, 175 plus
and-
the 1 mil.
And I'm just kind of back of the napkin calculation. So that's good. We ended with a little more money. But I'm looking at special events. And we went over on our expenditures, which I get, but we undershot our revenue, and I get that too, but on special events, you'd think we'd be able to plan for those. I mean, that should be something that we should be able to calculate in when we host the event, exactly what our costs are gonna be and exactly what our revenue is. So why on a special event that's predictable, why are we having so much trouble nailing the numbers?
But can you tell me where you're seeing that? Because I'm seeing we came in under on special events.
For revenue.
For revenue.
And then
Oh,
we
I
came
see.
in over on material services and supplies.
Farmers market is under special events, yeah?
Yeah, but
So,
the coast and all that stuff is.
Well, but what I'm saying is maybe upfront expenses and then the farmers market carries over. I don't know.
Well, then with the cost,
But it goes, that's a foundation of it, so you won't see any accounting for that.
with the coast went into the foundation.
But it seems like special events ought to be something we can plan for and predict and kind of nail down the
Sure.
numbers pretty
I
well.
don't disagree.
before we-
I think Catherine's point about a point in time at the end of June 30th, it's possible that there's expenditures out for farmers market and not as much revenue generated. I think some of the
Well,
other.
wait a minute, that creates a different issue. What's our accounting method?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, Kyle, like, it's normal that we would, if we have an event in July or August, we have stuff that's out.
Paid for in June.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think that probably, accounts for all of it. I think another challenge that we have, and this would only really impact the revenues, is that, or the expenses, is that, Zoe does a really good job of getting grants and sponsorships and things like that, and oftentimes those are for specific products or things that are promised in return for that, sponsorship or for that grant. And we spend the money, like, for a grant on special events, we spend it in a certain way, but it's not necessarily budgeted, so that contributes to us going over in that area. Does that always translate to more revenue? Not always, because some of the events,
So if we get a grant, is that booked under revenue? And then what we spend is booked under expenses?
yeah, but it's not always a direct, you know, if you get a $3,000 grant, you're not always gonna get $3,000 back in program participation, for
I
example.
got you, okay.
For, like, Turkey Trot, she gets, I can't remember what the amount was, maybe Darren can help me with that, but it's either $3,000 or $5,000 from the city of Seaside. Well, what we did with that money was to make the cost a little bit more inclusive. We lowered the registration fee, so we're actually like generating less revenue, but our participation is gonna go up. Because I think we view special events, yeah, we wanna generate revenue for sure, but we also view them as, you know, gateway programs into the district. We want people to have a really positive experience at these events, get brand familiarity with us, and then they will hopefully pursue other program opportunities, classes, you know, membership, things like that, as a result of those initial, experiences with the district. So I don't know if it always pans out, but I think the point is well taken, and, it's something, I mean, to be honest, we'd like to hit our revenue goals in every category. And, I think that's something that staff needs to do better at, myself included.
No, I wasn't being critical, I
Yeah.
was just trying to figure out what the numbers, what it would work.
To me, it's also a lesson for our budget committee, is whether or not we're too optimistic. And I do think there were some pieces there that we, both on the expense side and the revenue side, where we thought we were closer to a finish line than we were. And so that's a caution for our budgeting process maybe, is regarding what to expect. And frankly, I just think there's some economic factors going on, including price increase for stuff, like just all sorts of stuff, and the spending money that people have in our community, and all sorts of things that were not known to us when we created this budget, what was it, 18 months ago or whatever.
Yeah. And my final question is, back on the check register, check report. We booked this as, I don't know, 4 or 5 checks to the Department of Revenue and 6 or 8 to Treasury. And those, I'm guessing those are payroll withholding
Yes.
checks. But why can't we just write one check to the Treasury? They're all paid on the same day.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, Kyle, but I can find out. It could be that we are, but maybe we are separating the, different types of payments out in the accounting software, and that's why it's printed out.
So it looks like it's booked on.
I remember we asked Chris this question,
I don't remember the answer to that.
and I'm trying to remember what the answer was, but it was you had to do it this way.
Yeah.
Are the employees paid bi-weekly?
Yes.
So then there should be at least 2 checks to the Treasury, to the Department of Revenue, and depending on where the weeks land, maybe 3. So it looks like we're doing 1 check to the Department, to the Oregon every payday, but we're doing 2 checks to the Treasury.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And I mean, the dollar amount's gonna be the same, but it seems like extra work.
Can I get, a
Yeah,
refresher on the reasoning for that?
it's not critical, it's just something about workload that may be easier. Any other questions on the June, financial report?
Well, I do have one.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to know that the SRC, number of 71.52% is is accurate. It just seems, with all that we're doing, I'm just asking.
The expenses for the
Well,
SRC
it's
is
just
71.52%.
The subtotal for SRC
Yeah,
expenses comes up to 71.52%.
As far as I know, Sue, these are accurate numbers. However, it should be remembered that not all of the SRC expenses that I think you're recalling are in the SRC materials, supplies, and services line. Some, because of contract services and where the contract falls, are in AD, materials, supplies, and services. And that's partially why that line is over a significant amount. So like, I work with the owner's rep, or I work with the master plan consultants. Some of the work with the occupancy process is probably in that line.
Because I also understood that some of it was in the maintenance, right?
In the maintenance,
Maintenance,
we have a maintenance
right?
separate, but you're talking about maintenance of the SRC?
Yeah. I mean, I thought the answer included SRC is divided between, SRC and maintenance. I didn't realize about, administration, so thank you for that.
Any other questions on the financial report? Michael?
For June?
For June. Is there a motion?
A motion to approve our financials from June 2026.
Motion by Catherine, is there a second? Celeste? All in favor, Catherine?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Michael?
Yes.
And I vote aye. The financial report for July 31st. Any questions for Skylar? I've got one, actually a couple. Here again, I'm back at special events, and right out of the gate, we're doubling our expenditure or doubling our monthly average on special events, and then when we go back down to the materials for the month over, and I know there's seasonality in special events, so that's gonna even out, but, and any thoughts about, 1 month or a quarter of the way through our special events?
Yeah. Yeah, I would only say that, obviously summer and early fall, we have a few special events that I'm guessing we're loading up a little bit for farmers market, and then Fall Fun Fest and Turkey Trot coming not too far down the road.
Oh, okay, so they gotta purchase those supplies early.
That's what I would expect.
Okay.
The bulk of that is for, but yeah, that could be a concerning number or trend if that continues. I don't think it will, but I'll follow up with our team.
Will the youth programs at 15.85% is part of that?
Well, I think the challenge with that one is that we are heavily staffed for summer because we have more summer programs and children enrolled in summer camp.
Also, 14% of our revenue.
Yeah, so.
Any other questions for Skylar? I've got one more, if nobody else has any.
Well, I just covered it with him about, because this, it was a little bit, I was a little taken aback by the first 3 checks on the check report, that were negative to equal out from last month, and that has been explained. But it's kind of interesting.
Oddly, that's one of my questions, actually.
Yeah.
And this involves Cable Houston, and I think that's our attorney, right?
Correct.
So in June, we paid Cable Houston $5,000, and then in July we reversed that.
So I don't think these were actually reversals. I think that these got listed under July as a an accident, and so that's why these checks were voided, or not actually printed, but they're on the report because we can't delete them from the report when it's generated. So these 3 checks, the first 3 checks from what Chris shared, didn't actually go out. They were previously issued checks, but were on the July report as a mistake. They're included.
So, did we pay Caleb Houston
We did.
$49 and change?
Yeah, in June, but not in July, yeah.
Okay, so why is it a negative number in July?
I don't think it's
Putting
a
the money
negative.
back in.
It's almost like you reversed the
Yeah,
check.
it looks like that, but it's, I think the dash is simply signifying that it was voided.
Oh,
The
okay.
transaction was
Okay.
voided. We didn't-
So
we didn't
is
actually
the
cut
fund
check.
summary of negative 280,000 plus, is that not accurate? That's on page 3 of 3.
I don't know, so, I don't know. I can ask.
Usually that's not a negative number, so that just surprised me.
Sure.
Especially if those 3 checks are just voids.
I can ask. Yeah, I'm not sure about that number. I don't usually, we haven't discussed that number before in this meeting, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't remember ever referencing the fund summary.
Yeah, because it's always been positive.
Okay.
This is the first time I've seen it be negative, so I was just curious.
And then finally, again, just, a bunch of treasury and DOR checks. And they actually, I'm guessing it may be one check with different payment instructions. I don't know the right word, but it's really just 1 or 2 checks that have different categories in the book this way, so. Let's see, that's all I have. Anybody else have any questions on the July financial report?
So, I just math the amount of those 3 voided checks is the amount that is listed right here under voided checks, which then if you add all those together is the amount that is listed as net cash.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine.
It's still negative.
It's only negative because of the voided checks.
And
Right.
see, to me, if the voided
But-
checks don't count,
But the reason that it's because the months are separate. So the checks were issued in 1 month, which isn't reflected here. So it only sees that the money was put back in, basically.
right, but to me, that the fund summary is not technically accurate, because the 3 checks are voids.
I mean, yes, but you can't cross over months.
Okay. I mean, the amount, when you do that addition and subtraction, it comes up to the fund summary, no question about that. It's just, I'm used to seeing that every month over the last many years, there's always some sort of positive number except for today. And I don't think I'm supposed to pay attention to that, because it's a misnomer.
Well,
Or distraction.
in reality, positive numbers are negative numbers, and negative numbers are positive numbers.
Wait, what?
On this.
Okay.
Yeah, it is true.
You who have been on the budget committee, I appreciate what you just said.
Anyway,
Any other, questions for Skylar on the financial report? Is there a motion?
I have a motion to approve the financial report from July.
Motion from Catherine, second from Celeste. All in favor, Catherine?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Michael? And I vote aye as well. Skylar projects.
Yeah, so, it's been a very busy few weeks with lots of things going on. We in July to talk about the strategic plan and made some great progress. Staff are currently working to update the aesthetic, the graphics, all those types of things within the plan. We have informed our little stakeholder group that we're going to share it with, that it'll be coming, but I haven't shared it with them yet, and that's just our delay internally, that we were working on some other things, and wanted to make sure that all of our ducks were lined up. I did connect with Celeste today, and we updated our timeline for doing so. So in the next couple of days, we'll issue the draft out to the stakeholder group, start to collect some feedback, make some revisions, and then present it to the board in their September meeting for review, and then ultimately, if all goes well, then we'll adopt the document at the October meeting. So feeling really confident with where we're at. Savannah is taking the lead on updating the look of the document, making the changes that we feel like will make it a tiny bit more readable and presentable. And I don't know if there's anything else, but yeah, that's the update.
If I could sit down with you, or maybe Celeste, I won't be at the September meeting, so I would like an update before I leave town.
Sure. Great. You get email in Turkey?
Well, no. I can't, the Microsoft authorization doesn't work when you're out of the country, so I can't check my email. But I can check my personal email. You can always send it there, or text it to me, and I'll deal with it from there.
Okay.
But I would like to
I think it'll be
review.
ready long before you leave.
Good, good. It's looking good right now. The last time I looked at it, it was pretty good shape.
I think we'll also devise a way to make it a little bit publicly available, not necessarily share, and not necessarily say that we're welcoming feedback, but there'll be a draft available on some of our marketing channels and on our website. I think that's an important step too, in case people are looking for it, they can find it and see the investment that we made into the document.
I'd be happy to work with Savannah or you on, if we want to, we had talked about, and I'm just recalling,
Yeah.
of having some sort of, for people that we do want to put it in front of,
Yeah.
some sort of commenters form. It could just be a simple Google form or something.
Yeah.
But a way to solicit responses that land in an organized way for this process.
Okay.
I'll put that on my to-do list.
That's it for that one. The next item that we have is just a brief update on the occupancy process. I shared an update with the board a few days ago electronically. It's been a little bit, for most of the permits, it's been about a week. For the mechanical permit, it's been probably about 3 or 4 days since we had it submitted, but I'm really happy to share that all of the permits have been applied for, and there's different processes for each one. One of the challenges that we faced was that, for whatever reason, with the mechanical permit, we had to have a mechanical contractor pull the permit and not the architect of record. And so we worked with Diamond Heating, who we've done a lot of work with in the SRC and in other spaces of the district, for them to get the information from our architect and pull the permit. We're obviously, a little bit constrained on time, but we feel like we've done our absolute best to get the information that the city requested, pull the permits as possible. I mean, there's a number of things that are possible as next steps. And we have about 5 days till we get to that end of August deadline that has sort of been a clock ticking in everybody's head. So we're optimistic that we, hit some of our goals, but it's kind of up to the building official and the planning department as to what's next. If they have revisions that they ask us to make, if they have questions, we're not sure if that will trigger, kind of another temporary period of time where we're able to answer some of those questions, or what will happen. We wanted to give them a little bit of time to review the application materials before we started asking a bunch of questions about what ifs and what might happen.
Were one of those positions, did they just leave?
The Public Works Director left, yeah, but not related to, hopefully not going to impact this process at all.
So the mechanical permit, it says valuation of work $500,000.
That's a rough estimate right now, but yeah, potentially Honestly, when I saw that number, I was quite pleased, because we've been budgeting budgeting in our heads for a much larger number of maybe potentially $2 to $3 million. But I think the way that we're able to make some improvements to get the building up to code in the spaces that it needs to, we've been able to find a lot of efficiency. So while that number is a lot, I think it's far less than what we had once considered might be necessary for the mechanical plan.
Good.
And considering that we have a 24-month window to accomplish that, I feel like that's reasonable. Now, that number could change a lot. I mean, and there's a lot of things that could impact that number, but I'm feeling really quite happy with the process. And again, want to I know he's not watching, but just graciously note my appreciation for Jason from Scott Edwards Architecture. It's been really great work, and I know he's just as invested in helping us get to this deadline as we all are.
Has the city approved the contract? Have you approved the
We haven't gotten
permit?
anything back from the city except for that they've received everything from this point. So that's kind of, what we're hoping,
And they're
waiting,
not on
anticipating.
vacation, right?
What's that?
And we know they're not on vacation.
One of the officials was on vacation, but he got back last week, and we've had good engagement with all the folks from the planning department. They've been great. We're, like I said, crossing our fingers, crossing our toes, doing the special dances for good luck when no one's watching, all those things.
The city council meetings that I used to try to attend this summer didn't work. They usually took this yesterday, off. And so, I mean, are they around?
This doesn't go.
Yeah. So
No, I know that.
We talked about this last month. I think there's no, as far as I know, there's no public official, like elected official or appointed officials that have review in the application process. We've already done our work with the planning committee or commission a couple of times on this process. You remember when you had to go before them. As far as I know, at this point, this is the decision of the building official, the planning department, the experts that the city has hired to do those jobs. They're the ones that will be reviewing the permit applications and making the decision about what's next, or if they have questions or revisions or things that they don't understand. Not that they don't understand, but maybe that aren't up to their standards that they need.
I'm sorry if I missed it, what is it, did they indicate their timeline? Did I miss that?
Did the city?
Mm-hmm.
So initially when they gave us the expectations, the deadline for an approved mechanical permit was September 1st. That was like 6 months ago. That's why we were kind of rushing to get our stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unclear. I mean, I'm not a person that applies for permits often. You probably know the process better than I do. It can take take a couple weeks. It can take a month. It can take faster than that. And what I think we're all hoping is that the city expeditiously reviews our permit and gives us information. If they have clarifying questions, then they get us those as soon as possible, or they can help us meet that deadline. I think they have every intention to do so, but we're not sure the other constraints that they might be working under.
Anything else?
Not on that one.
Okay.
I think the next one is going to be brief also. I appreciate the board's work and engagement that we had on the workshop. We've had a couple of good, I think, follow-up action items, including some conversations with city staff, city officials about some more collaboration. I've already engaged our consultants on this, on the next steps too. And again, we're going to have an update ideally at the September board meeting. So in about a month we'll revisit SDCs and talk more about that.
Is there anything you need from us to help with any of that? Is there?
Well, I think I have talked to Sue and Kyle about maybe some collaboration or some communication, some efforts to connect with city seaside elected officials. I know Kyle was able to do that, and I think Sue started some of that. Maybe it was successful, or maybe not for various reasons. But I think that's really a big piece. But I think right now I'm feeling okay. we'll see in another week or so once we get through occupancy, hopefully.
Nice work, Stanley.
If we go briefly on the new business, the only item that I had on here was swim team update, and I think Bob shared an update that was better worded than I can provide. I'm just thankful for our staff, for the parents and the kids that were able to do. I know the offering was maybe a little bit smaller than we'd hoped, but really, in all honesty, I'm really happy that we were able to provide this opportunity and take a really important step forward. Sometimes the first step is the hardest step to take, and also want to call out Bob and Carolyn and our other coach Amanda for their efforts, and they all traveled to Newport for this meet, and I think that's really a great thing. And like you said, we had some really outstanding performances, but I think just as important to that is we're building a really strong culture of competition, of cooperation, of supporting each other, of helping younger swimmers get in the pool and be able to compete. And I think that's going to be really beneficial for those folks, those young swimmers as they get older, but also to our community, to our high school swim team, to the district. Those more strong swimmers equals better things in a lot of ways for the district.
Now that we got to swim team update, can I ask questions?
Sure.
I think you also had a swim meet in Astoria, yes or no?
I think, I haven't asked Amanda, it was scheduled actually, I believe, for this Saturday. I want to say it's the last Saturday of August, which would be this Saturday. So I needed.
Where?
No, it was last Saturday.
Yeah,
It was the second.
only because my daughter has friends that were
Okay.
participating. So they had two meets,
Yeah, but that had really nothing to do with the sanction team. That was
just a fun thing.
a fun thing.
Okay.
We were
What,
not involved.
remind me the ages of the men, like, who's your target audience?
So 8 to 18 is the age span, and I think that we may have one 8-year-old. And right now the participants are fairly well balanced between 10 unders, 11 to 14s, and high school kids.
And then you mentioned the, potentially doing like, extending your season a little bit into the fall. When does your, what's the application, what's the word?
Well, the program registration
when you're signing.
extended through the end of this week.
Oh, through this week?
Through the end of this week, right. So Amanda is running her last practices this week.
Okay.
And then if we want to extend for another 2 months,
Okay.
which would be sort of
September,
within
October.
the limits of the registration we have at USA Swimming, that could start as early as next week.
Okay.
It's all short course.
Short course.
Would someone like to put together a flyer to put in the school newsletters? I mean, do we want more
Yes.
people?
Yes.
Well, we have marketing material. We're ready to sort of go as soon as we get approval from Skylar that we should be moving.
So if somebody pulls that trigger and sends things to me, I will put them in, the places for the school.
I mean, I have material right with me right now.
So
I mean,
we
we should have given it
say,
to Savannah while she was sitting there.
Well, I mean, I'm not authorized to hire or anything. I need to work with Skylar's approval. But, I have made inquiries for meets, because those were due, you have to make those inquiries long in advance.
Yeah.
So we've done things sort of on the come here, except, waiting for an approval to move forward.
I will say, Chair, I don't know if you already have it, but if, for school, flyers and things, we also need Spanish. So a translated version of whatever document you have.
Okay.
Although, do we have that capability in-house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google.
We're currently translating all of our other marketing materials.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that, I don't know what the density would be for homeschoolers, but is there a way to do outreach to homeschoolers?
Carolyn has contacts in the homeschoolers, so, yeah. I mean, we know how to get to people, I think, with Savannah's help.
Skylar, how much is the district contributing to this one? staff time, because are we contributing money, or what are we doing?
Yeah, the district is contributing the staff time. We're reimbursing, the coaches for travel, to travel to Newport. Probably a little bit of overhead with some marketing efforts and some other things, but.
But not very much, not very much.
I mean, we are charging a fee for the program, but I think that's one of the discussion points that we're still working out, is what's the sustainable revenue model for this program. It's a little bit new for us, and it can be variable because of the, when you start competing and you start incurring some of the costs with traveling a coach or multiple coaches, then obviously your staff is gonna go up significantly, or your cost is gonna go up significantly. So it's a balance. I think Bob has offered some really great perspective. Bob and Carolyn have participated in swim teams in other places and other pools. While we've had swim team, but we haven't necessarily made competition and travel a part of that. So it's finding your kind of the sweet spot. We spent a week or so after the swimming in Newport gathering some feedback from the families that participated and making sure. One of the questions that we asked them was about the cost of the program and how they would feel about it. We don't want to price out programs, but we obviously need to find a way to generate some revenue to cover some of our expenses.
What is the cost?
Sorry, that remembering specific numbers, maybe Bob remembers.
It's on the order of $120 a month. There's a range for different age groups. And I think that I haven't heard the feedback from Skylar from the parents, but we unfortunately went to Newport during the peak season. And so it was, very challenging just to find any accommodations down there. I couldn't even get a campsite at a local campground.
Yeah.
They were sold out. So, I think the people that went down probably paid a premium for accommodations. And so the feedback, especially for parents going to a first meet, is probably a little bit skewed.
And we'll say, as a parent who has children on travel teams, multiple travel teams, our most expensive one is soccer, which is $350 for about 6-ish months. And that doesn't include uniform, and that doesn't include, we participate in 2 tournaments, and then we have a lot of away games and things in October or September and October.
And it does not include those.
It does not. It includes the tournament fee, so for the team, but not anything to do with travel or.
So $100 a month is within that.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the feedback that we got, like Bob said, was that the program fee was sustainable for families to participate in, but that they wanted to be really careful about those travel expenses. So I think some of the other competitions that have been sort of maybe pre-selected are probably not going to have quite such a high travel cost. So they're not going to be a peak season on the Oregon coast. They're going to be in other locations or in the valley where there's more options for lodging and things like that.
Yeah, the other thing about the teams that we're on is you have to spend the night because you are playing over multiple days. Is that the model, or is it a one-day meet?
Meets are 2 or 3, usually 2 days, and sometimes Friday. There are events on Friday.
Yeah. So it's basically the same. It's like, man, if you could do it, so you can just go down back.
Well, I have to say, I have slept, going to Newport, I have slept in the car, because there was nothing, unless you wanted the bridal suite at Ottercrest, and, it's like, I'm not gonna do that for my daughter going swimming, so, we slept in the car, and it worked. It was, we made it an adventure, but,
It's an unfortunate first meet for some people, the expense part of it.
Yeah, especially peak summer.
And with the older kids, there's things we can do with team travel.
Yeah.
For the younger kids, you probably do need the parents involved, but for the older kids, we've done things with exchanges and team travel.
I wonder if you could, I know sometimes we have teams that come and they rent the gym at the pool and camp out in the gym.
Yep. There are there are things you can do to.
Parents want to sleep on the gym floor, but,
You know, or a church.
If the school isn't zoned for people sleeping inside that.
We've done that in Sisters.
Hopefully they don't have a fire in the middle of the night.
well, no comment.
Well, I wanted to make a comment. There was, on a check report, you know, there was, $547 for the Newport swim team. And all those expenses are reimbursed back to the district. But, so there is some financial, expectation, but, you know, I mean, we promote sport.
Yeah, my concern is, how do we get more bodies into the pool, you know, on the swim team, or for any other reason for that matter, but, you know, swimming in particular, you know, the age groups, plus the gender groups, plus the different number of different strokes, I mean, there could be a potential to have lots and lots of kids swimming and give them lots and lots of opportunities, because there's just so many ways they could do it. But I think we need to do what we can do to get more swimmers on the team. And, you know, I just rely on you guys to figure that out. But I think you were right earlier when I think it's going to take about 100 swimmers maybe. I mean, it might take a couple of years to get there, but I'd really like to see a really well-structured swim program and get these kids a chance to compete. Any other questions about the swim team?
I'm just gonna comment that I've done communicating with USA Swimming. You know, I've been able to reach the right person, I've done what has been asked of me, and no response. And that's just a bit
They've had trouble lately.
well, the
organization is kind of floundering a little bit.
I mean, when I was active in that, you could walk into a building, have a conversation. There was this one particular lady that was just the guru that knew everything, and you had an answer right then and walked out. And right now, what I did finally say to this woman was, I was on my way to camp out at your spot because you guys won't respond. She said, don't do that, none of us are there, but you've got the right person. And then I did what she asked and no response. So I give up.
So do we participate in the Safe Swim program from USA Swim? That's to protect students.
Yeah, I mean, we participate through training and certifications for the staff that are registered with USA Swim. So for example, coaches have to be Safe Sport certified.
And anybody else on the pool deck, or is it just the coaches?
There's different levels of certification for if you're a marshal or a coach or whatever.
I think, one of the things that I'm thinking about, particularly now that we have the big building, or once we have the big building for occupancy, I think one of the things that I'm so excited about on the swim team is that you've come forward and to have the energy of, like, we can combine sort of external energy from the community with infrastructure that staff and the building provides. Like, to me, that's sort of a magic combo. It means we don't have to, that our staff don't necessarily have to take on the whole shebang, but it's still a program being offered through Park and Rec. And I think that's a magic combination when you can have sort of community energy combined with our state staff infrastructure. I just think it's great, so.
I just, the board should just remember that this trial was a seasonal program, so we registered for 6 months. And if we don't start now making application for a full year year-round program, that application process is going to be more challenging than the seasonal application process. So, we either have to keep moving forward and build on this, or, we'll just stop.
Yeah.
Any other
And
questions?
who, just so I understand, who handles the application process? Is that, are you handling that, or is that a Park and Rec thing to handle it, or is it sort of a combo?
I would say Bob handled most of it. He was really familiar and navigated the site. I think we tried to support him and as best we could, and I imagine, I'm hopeful that that type of collaboration will continue because, like I said, for me, this is completely new, and for most of our people, we've had a swim team, we've had a competitive swim team a long time ago.
Yeah.
But this is, it would be not prudent to not use the wisdom that we have with Bob and Carolyn and their expertise in navigating the system for years and years.
So now, you know, we've registered as an institutional program.
Mm-hmm.
It's very unusual. Most swim teams are board-led, parent-led, and they rent pools. So,
Clubs.
They're
Oh,
clubs.
interesting, okay.
yeah, so this model that we use for expediency
Mhm.
is, you know, probably 5% of teams or less are institutional. It's, you know, there's some challenges for an institution to run a swim team.
Why are we doing it as an institution? Why can't we do it as a club?
Well, as a club, there needs to be, you know, a lot of
Infrastructure.
parent support and infrastructure, and we haven't really built that. And it was more expedient to do it, you know, through a trial as an institution, because I didn't have to go get a new EIN and, you know, all those things. I used the existing
Yeah.
infrastructure of the Parks and Rec Department. But that is an option, you know, moving forward.
So what about, in the past, we went down to Nehalem and included them. And we had a significant number of kids that swam with North Coast Swim Club that were from Nehalem.
We could take advantage of 3 pools.
We've been in contact with Astoria and Nehalem to encourage them to participate, and I don't know if the marketing has landed necessarily there, but I think that's something that will continue to grow, right? For the first couple months, I think we were really focused on getting ourselves off the ground and up to speed. So there's a lot more improvement that we can make in terms of marketing and outreach, for sure.
Well, for me personally, I was asked to unofficially officiate at an Astoria meet. Paul Gascoigne, who used to be the North Coast Swim Club coach, was there, and there was a lot of conversation generated about how to bring a team back. A lot of parents wanted to talk to Paul and to me, and Paul said, well, this is in process, but that's been, 3 years now?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Paul. I have contacts in Astoria that aren't very responsive. But as I said, before, you know, I invest a lot of energy in this, I need the authority to move forward.
Are there parents, so is the vibe with the parents that they're like, yay, like, let's bring the swim team, or is it just like, hey, it's just another thing my kids do?
Ask Skylar. He's talked to some of the parents.
I think there's a blend. There are some that are very excited about the opportunity that
Like passionate about, like, let's
Sure.
keep it going, and
Sure. Oh, all seem to be very passionate about wanting to keep it going. I think it's been received really favorably. Now, of course, there's probably been some attrition and some that didn't make it to this point or opted not to participate that maybe we thought would have. But I think engagement has been good. The feedback's been strong. I think folks are hoping to continue participation. I think I don't like raining on anybody's parade, but I think the number 100 kids. I mean, that seems it seems like a really big number for us right now. It doesn't mean that we couldn't get there, maybe even quickly, but I think almost all the parents expressed a not a concern, but a desire to see the timing of the program and when competitions, when peak timing lined up with other events that their kids were doing. And that's the challenge, I think, here, is figuring out, okay, where's kind of like our sweet spot or spots throughout the calendar year where we can ramp up, get kids really going, or maybe it's not necessarily a time off, but it's a slower season for some of that activity to occur.
I mean, you're gonna.
Looking right at you, how many sports and activities do your kids play? All of them, it seems like. Mine are the same, and I think most of the swim kids, there's not a lot of kids that are just swimmers.
Yeah.
They do track, they do cross country, they play, they do other stuff here in Seaside, especially at a young age, and I think that's, we encourage that, we want that for young athletes. It's healthy, it benefits them, so.
And USA Swimming wants that.
Yeah, so we just have to kind of think really strategically about what's the best time for, not necessarily like we're active and we're not. I think it's more about like we're more intense, we're more focused, where there's more resources allocated for coaching and for lap lanes and things like that, versus other times where maybe it's still a great option for somebody that's not doing sport, but it's probably not going to be their first thing that they choose.
But you've got to think of it as a funnel, right? If you've got 100 kids that are in your Learn to Swim program as 6 to 8 year olds, I mean they're the bottom of that funnel, right? And then maybe you get 40 of them that move up and participate as 10 to 12 year olds, but if you're not building that strong base with your initial group swim program, and those two remain sort of disconnected, it's a real challenge.
I was thinking like 100, man, that sounds like a lot of kids, but then I was thinking about our tournament basketball teams. I mean, got boys team, girls teams, 8th, 7th, we don't have a 6th, 5th, and 4th. There's probably 100 kids that are doing basketball. So maybe that's not as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to set any expectations. I mean, I sort of threw that out a little bit cavalierly.
Man, 100 kids in the pool sounds like a lot of kids.
That's not very many on a swim team. Where my kids swim, they've got 250, 300 swimmers maybe on their team.
But they're a big metropolis.
Yeah,
they're in rural Seaside.
I mean, you've got to think about though, multiple pools, right?
Yeah.
And it's not everybody in the pool at the same time.
Yeah.
And a lot of those kids are maybe only swimming once or twice a week. They're not all swimming, 5 or 6 times a week.
I remember when Laura was 7, she had to choose between soccer and swimming because the meets were on Saturdays, and she chose swimming. But there's some other kids that are going to pick soccer instead.
Well, I mean, both my kids were part of Park and Rec swim team, and then, they chose other things. I still wish they would do swimming. I think they would be phenomenal at it, but
I mean, the
I
only
don't know how we fit that in our schedule.
The only thing Laura got to do was play basketball, other than swim, because it just didn't, and she was good. She enjoyed that.
Well, the nice thing about swimming is there's no first team or second team or third team. Everybody gets to compete. No matter how good or bad you are, you get to compete, and I think that's worthwhile. Any other questions about swimming? I think we've flogged this red horse quite a bit.
I have questions.
And the guy that's always asking the questions is asking if there's any more questions. So, let's move on. Skylar?
Okay, I'm gonna reverse the order of these, just, not sure why I put them on a page like this, but, I don't really have a long update on the Tran. Obviously, everyone knows that, that's part of our financial picture right now. We've been working with, David Olbrich from Special Districts, Financial Services to secure the Tran loan. We, have typically used a financial institution that thus far we haven't, been able to advance our discussions in a timely fashion with that institution, so David's working with us to secure an alternative funder, and I'll keep the board posted on that, but we're getting to the point where the time
We need to pull the trigger.
where the time for request is passed, and now we're needing to be further along than we probably are. So I'm hoping that will expedite the process and get it secured here in the next day or so.
Well, you know, they're gonna need signatures from the board to move forward. I just wanna make sure I'm not out of town.
I understand,
when
yeah,
that happens.
and that's one of the reasons why we're hoping to hurry it along, but there's some other internal needs that we need to make sure we're met. The second thing on here, just moving up, I just want to share, before I get into the search for a youth programs coordinator, we wrapped up a really successful summer camp season on Friday. And really just, we highlighted two of the staff that worked in summer camps later in Monse, but there's a number of other staff. And I think hosting summer camp is a unique challenge, especially in this environment. This was a really challenging, I think, summer for us for various reasons. We had a lot of behavioral challenges. We had some injuries or accidents that were challenging for our staff to work through. I think the benefit that we're providing to the kids to have an awesome place to go, where they're having healthy food, activities, positive adult interactions, getting to swim 3 days a week, all the things that they get to do is really something that I'm really proud of, and I know it doesn't happen without the hard work of our youth programs team. So just want to call that out. While that summer camp was occurring, we had an interim youth programs coordinator, Kelly Smith, who was a previous employee of the district, was a preschool teacher for several years, and she was also a candidate for our full-time youth programs coordinator position that we were searching for, and we had a great candidate pool. We had I think over 20 applicants and over 12 really qualified ones. We interviewed, I'd say 8, and invited 3 to come back for a final interview, and we ended up selecting Kelly. She was a great candidate on paper, but her contribution as the interim person in this role and her previous experience as a preschool teacher spoke really loudly about her capabilities and about her as a person. So her first day, her last day as interim youth programs coordinator was Friday, and her first day as full-time programs coordinator was yesterday. So really happy. Kelly will come to a board meeting in the future and share some information about her goals and such for the program, but I'm really excited to have her on board. Yeah, bless you. The last thing, I just felt like I've kind of, you've probably noticed, glossed over a little bit on some goals, and I was reflecting a little bit on some of the goals that the board set in the 2024-2025 fiscal year, which, you know, it's crazy. It was a little while ago. A lot of the goals are still relevant and necessary, and we haven't accomplished all the goals, either together or myself, and I'm offering some transparency and accountability on those things. But a lot of things are underway or near completion, including some of the things that we've reflected on at our meetings. I bring it up just to see if the board has, as we're kind of in the early stages of the new fiscal year, and hopefully we have some of these long-term projects and efforts that we're undertaking near completion, fingers crossed, right? As we move forward, I don't know if the board has other priorities or goals that they'd like to work forward with me. I also, as I mentioned on the back, you may want to provide some clarity and timing on the process for the annual review of my performance, and I think that that's an important thing for you because it demonstrates you have good governance over the one position that you're selected to oversee. Yeah, you're doing that part. I think it's great, and it provides me with good feedback that I can improve on some things that I need to improve and things that maybe I'm doing well. So I don't know exactly where you want to take it. I don't know if you want to have a discussion or do you want to just food for thought and table it for a future meeting, but just wanted to not just gloss over those key goals and things that I've been tasked with.
Yeah, thank you, Skylar. And, you know, if there's any blame to go around, it falls on me because, you know, I've let this simmer knowing that we've got a strategic plan on the horizon. And my goal, my hope was to use the strategic plan as the driver for what the executive, you know, should be doing. And I've got some ideas from the plan, but what I'd like to do, I'd like to sit down with you and Savannah once we're near completion with the strategic plan and pull some goals out of the strategic plan. Maybe Celeste would meet with that too. And develop a method of aligning your activities with the strategic activities of the district, you know, to move forward that way. My complaint about the previous way that we've been evaluating the executive is the things that we evaluate are too tactical and not strategic enough. And so I think I want to build that up, and Celeste may have some ideas based on her knowledge of the plan, and other board members may have some ideas too. But I'd like to create that in the framework of the strategic plan, if that works for the rest of the board.
I think that's great. I'm happy to assist with any of that, and I don't know, like, if it's a matter, and would be interested in the board people, like, is it helpful to have a couple of us get together to go over some of this and just develop a plan and bring it to a workshop, or bring it to the next board meeting, or like what works best?
In the context, you want to have a workshop in the context of the strategic plan, or in the context of the
However we want to, whatever to develop, however the performance review and feedback process is going to work in context of the strategic plan moving forward.
Can we do that in a regular board meeting, in executive session? Or it probably is pushing the boundaries of executive session.
Yes, I think so, and I think it probably is helpful for us to, I think it's hard to ideate on that from scratch, and it might be better to have a couple people move something forward and come in and say, well, here's proposal A, or here's proposal B, or here's a choice to make. Just,
well, I had a list of those things on that other draft of the plan that I just, and I'll just give one example, but one of the things that I think is important for this district is to get the maximum number of people in our facilities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about body counts, and, you know, I mean, I said, you know, fill the pool or whatever, but it's really about the number of people that we can engage with. And so I think in the future, I'd like to see, you know, a count of how many people make use of our services on a monthly basis, something we can measure and move forward. Now, that said, and this is way preliminary, but that said, that means that Skylar or Darren or somebody's going to have to figure out a reliable way to count how many people use our services, and maybe there already is. But I think that would be useful. But that's just one example. I mean, there's more things that come out of this.
Well, I'll just comment that I'm really excited because we have 14 people in the arthritis class on Monday, and there's a 15th person that should be there tomorrow, and a 16th person that said, I'll get there.
You're excited that many people have arthritis in our community?
Yeah, it's an arthritis class that, hey, I went to the Multnomah Club and told them they needed to get on board, right, Skylar? I mean, honest to God, I'm not done with them. But the thing is, 14 people, not 4.
So
in
the
a class.
attendance is...
I mean, and we don't have an instructor on purpose, and that you get into the arthritis rule foundation, but it's pretty remarkable.
Thank you, Bob.
You know, to have a class that sometimes we had 4, sometimes we had 6, and on Monday here 14. So I think that's an example of something growing and positive.
Anything else, Kevin?
No, I just, while we're at it, I might just share a couple of items about the events upcoming and the calendar for next month or so. So obviously we still have farmers market. We have, I think, 3 markets left. including tomorrow's. So encourage you to come out if you haven't and see the vibes of the market, good music that's there. It's been, I think, besides our one thunderstorm Wednesday, it's been a really great summer. This mostly Saturday, but probably, already ongoing, our foundation board and volunteers, especially want to call out Darren and his leadership on this. We're hosting this fundraiser for Hood to Coast participants at the SRC, where they can come and get a shower, maybe get off their feet for a few minutes. It works out really well for our out-of-town participants that may not have lodging in Seaside, or their lodging isn't available until later in the night because the timing of the vans and the way Hood to Coast rough runners work. There's one van that's kind of sitting around waiting for the other van to get done, and but we have I think almost hit near capacity on what our parking spots are available, and be able to generate some revenue. And if you're interested in volunteering, we have some shifts available. Some of them might be early.
Is that foundation revenue, or is that?
So yeah, it goes to the foundation revenue, but it all goes to the foundation scholarship fund. So providing some access to folks that need a little help to continue on or get into one of our programs. Next month is a very busy month where we're not hosting necessarily, but Seaside is hosting the ORPA conference. It's the first time that conference has been here in quite a few years. And to be honest, the venue, the Civic and Convention Center that we have here is great size, but it's too small for the conference. They usually have around 600 attendees, and the capacity at the Seaside facilities are around 400, but they're all excited to be here. You have a number of staff that are participating or doing things associated with the conference. We're hosting a joint session actually with the mayor, talking about the history of the Seaside Prom, taking some folks on a walking tour of the prom and celebrating the 100 years of the prom. We're also hosting some folks are going to come to the SRC and see the building and get a little information from myself and maybe some others about the process of acquiring the old Broadway Middle School and what we've gone through thus far. There's also going to be a number of other offsites, pottery, some yoga classes. Anyways, it should be a lot of fun. I know we have Sue is going to attend, I believe, and if you're interested, I think registration is full, but I can get you some more information or help you find out some more things about that.
Is there daily registration available?
There might be, Kyle. Yeah, we had one of our staff that we were able to get registered for a one-day attendee, but I don't know. All I know is that the conference sold out really fast, yeah. Because of ORPA, our board meeting is moved to the 5th Tuesday of September, so just a reminder on that. And then some upcoming dates. We have Fall Fun Fest scheduled for the 17th, and then our annual shutdown is penciled in for those first 2 weeks of November. So just an FYI on that. We'll be doing a host of cleaning and other projects, especially focused on some of the possible improvements in the locker room and our flooring in the locker room. So those are some of the calendar things that I wanted to make sure the board was aware of, events and things like that.
Awesome, thank you. Board comment, Catherine.
I just want to say congratulations to the employees of the month, alongside Slater, and I would like to point out that they are either all Seaside graduates or Seaside students, so that is very exciting. Congratulations to Kelly Smith. I think that will be a great addition to the team, and I'm excited to see what she does with these programs. Thank you to Bob for all the information on the swim update and all my many questions. Sorry, guys. I wanted to respond a little bit to Mary's comment with some historical context that I have. I believe it's been about 3, maybe even, it might have been right after COVID that we started doing, particularly in the summer, closing halfway through open swims to check for code browns because we were having so many accidents and then having to shut down the pool. As far as the particular date that was mentioned and about half the people leaving, and your reference to not being able to swim laps before that, that was because Girl Scouts had rented that facility. And we did a really awesome water safety class where the kids got to jump in and fully clothe and learn how to save themselves and all kinds of fun water skills and all that. But I know there were around 20 kids, and I know that some of them stayed for the open swim that was after, but I'm going to guess that they probably left because they'd already been an hour in the water for 2 hours prior to open swim. So just some thoughts on that. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Sue?
So, I wanna, my comment today is a little bit different, because of some things happening personally, and I am grateful to Skylar, for many things, but, he told me I didn't need to come tonight, and I said, no, that's not the point. So, I wanna say, I'm grateful to Mary. I did not know about, stopping to do a poop check. I did, I mean, the other day, we had everybody clear the pool, and there was a suspicious brown thing that wasn't stool, but everyone got out, and one of the patrons was like, why am I out of the water? And I said, well, because for your safety, we're making sure. And literally, people went to the hot tub and then back to the water, because it was a false alarm. And so I'm grateful for that diligence. But Mary, I've never heard that, and I'm grateful that,
Just
yeah.
tiny little asterisk. The other thing too was it was not just to do the check, but it was also to give people a chance to remind them to go use the restroom and take a break and get a drink of water and take,
Yeah, good point. So, I mean, I'm glad, thank you for bringing that, to our attention. And then I'm grateful for Bob. I mean, I've been trying, to get USA Swimming to respond, and they're just choosing not to. And I'm tired of trying. So I'm glad that we are finding ways to move forward, and maybe, they'll catch up to us, to eventually say, wait a minute, but, we can't wait for them to not respond. And so I'm glad that we have Bob pushing. I'm glad that we have people that are interested, and having had a daughter swim through masters competition, and start at age 7, thanks to Mary, literally, I hope that we can make this move forward and be a positive thing. Swim team has been part of my life for a lot of years, and I am grateful that my daughter had that opportunity. I'm grateful for employees like Slater and Monse and Ella. I get to see Ella in action often. I am congratulating Kelly Smith. Skylar told me today, just go over and say hi. So I went over and I introduced myself, and that was very sweet, and I am grateful to have made her acquaintance. And I said I look forward to getting to know you better. So that was positive, and congratulations on the process, so that we continue to move forward to promote the best program we have for our young ones. As always, Celeste and Kyle, and then Skylar working together to try to make our, all this, the strategic plan, that is very much appreciated. I am still having fun with the SDC, and I know we were trying to have us take on some burden and avoid Skylar, and unfortunately, I wound up with, talking with our city councilman who didn't know as much as I did, so it was kind of fun to come back to Skylar and say, I'm sorry, I think you're gonna have to help us. But I tried, and it really came out to be a positive thing, rather than like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But the councilman is my neighbor, and he's interested in more information, and Skylar said, maybe this will be the attempt that gets me to understand it completely, and I am grateful for that patience. I do want to promote showering before people get in the pool. The pool has been a little bit on the, not murky side, but, you know, I'm waiting for someone to say, why isn't the pool clear? Because you're not showering. And I'm seeing it consistently, that people are avoiding showering, and I'm getting really close to saying, you know, I'm grateful that one of our instructors asked me to do an announcement, like, you know, we've got 3 more times for our market, our Seaside Farmers Market, and eventually I'm gonna say something. You know, you want clear water, you want a pool that lasts, you need to shower. And I'm not ready to do that yet. I held my tongue yesterday. So I'm just wanting a pool that has the best chance to survive. I do continue to say that every complaint is a gift, and in this last couple weeks, I've had, you know, I've seen the team go to work to try to alleviate a patron's complaint. And while I agree, she has a right to complain, she also has to accept that we're trying, we're listening, number 2, we're trying, and you can't always have what you want. You can have options. I was given options for my concerns, and so was this particular individual, and we'll see where it goes, but, you know, we've done our best. And I am grateful that Skylar has been in there with me in conversation to direct this complaint. And then you know, yesterday, we've got you know, I get to go to church every Sunday. I didn't always get that with my job. And we're studying a book that talks about, a book in the Bible that talks about the futility, the vanity of life. And just recently, one of our one of our pool family has a relative that is at death's door. And it reminds me of something that really helped me join this team. And it's something Skylar wrote, you know, at the bottom of his whatever he, you know, some letter he had written. And it was a quote by John Wesley that we do good. And I don't know the quote, it's 7 lines of goodness. And it's you know, we do all the good we can, in the places we can, in the times we can, you know, so that what our mark on this earth is in this folly of life, that we will, in 100 years, probably be forgotten. So what? As long as we have done the good to provide something for our families, our friends, our community, that's what the bottom line is. And that's why I'm here tonight, because I feel like there's a more important aspect of doing good that still supports the individuals. And I am grateful, Skylar, that you wrote that when you did, because I said, why is he quoting John Wesley? That's, you know, that's a Methodist thing. Well, evidently, they don't know that that was actually a John Wesley quote.
We're not in Savannah right now.
Yeah, so anyway, I just am grateful to be part of this team, and I am grateful to be working under Skylar and assisting Skylar and working with a very diverse group of people that support this community of Sunset Empire Park and Rec in every way positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Celeste.
I'm just gonna say ditto to what you said and pass it on to Mike.
Except, I'll be forgotten in 2 years.
I don't think so, Kyle.
Well.
I recruited you.
You are memorable to me.
Celeste.
I'm passing the mic.
Oh, okay. I've dropped in from time to time to watch some of the open swims. You know, especially the free ones, and they were heavily attended. I think maybe the one time there were 120 people, like, hunting around, trying to count bodies, and there was just, you know, scads of people, adults and children, and people doing the zip line and all kinds of things. And they, I guess it was, you know, about halfway through the afternoon, and they said, okay, 10-minute break, everybody out of the pool, and everybody had to get out of all the pools, even the hot tub. And I think it was a good idea because it gave all the children a chance to go to the bathroom. You know, a lot of the parents, you know, who had actually young children in the hot tub as well, they just got out and they just stood around. The kids didn't go there. But I think it's a good idea when you've got big crowds of people, because you get two things. You know, if you're interested in people, you know, brownouts or whatever, but you can also see the bottom of the pool and see who didn't get out. You know, so I think it's a good thing, you know, for a long extended open swim, you know, or a free swim, which is, you know, attended by multiple people, to maybe have that. But it's good to know what the expectation is. You know, if someone's there doing lap swimming, it's hard to imagine 65 people doing lap swimming all at once. But I guess maybe that can happen if you have enough room. But I think, you know, it's not unreasonable to do that, but you know, I've never seen it but once so far. But anyway, I'm happy that we had a great presentation from Savannah. I appreciated the boldness of her slides, being able to read them in print also, and we've got, you know, great employees. You know, recognized 3 employees today, and it's great to see the new faces. I hope they stick with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Scott.
I agree. I think we have really some awesome employees. We have some awesome employees that we recognize, not just the ones that we recognize, but Savannah did a great job in her presentation. I really appreciated that. Bob and Mary, thank you, as always, for your comments. Last week, actually it was yesterday, wasn't it? I sat down with the mayor and we spent about an hour and a half just chatting about the community. Some of it was good, some of it was not so good. I think that what's important is there's really like 3 public entities in Seaside, the school district, us, and the city, and at least at the board level, we don't really talk very much. And I think that the mayor appreciated the outreach, but also the next meeting will probably include the superintendent of schools, so we'll sit together, the 3 of us, and work things out, and I'll say in a minute why that's important. The parks, we talked about the parks SDC and the parks operations, and there may be some joint efforts available to us there. The mayor was really resistant to our SDC program. It benefits the city not at all, and it competes with their SDCs. In fact, our SDCs may be as much as the total of their roads and wastewater and parks SDCs. Granted, those were developed 20 years ago, so of course the numbers are going to be smaller. So I think it will take a fair number of additional communications with the city, and we're going to have to smooth over that process a little bit, I think, because he's afraid that the citizens will revolt, but the citizens aren't going to revolt over an SDC because they don't pay it unless they build something. So I don't know. I think he might be a little bit reaching on that. but I think he's very sensitive to the needs of his constituents, and he, I think, is reflecting some concern. There's only so much resource in the seaside area, and he wants to make sure it's distributed appropriately. And I think that, again, will require some more conversations. In terms of parks operations, I think there might be some opportunities there, especially on the North 40, when they start scheduling teams and doing that stuff. He's ambivalent about the Bob and the little park between the two buildings. What's the name of that?
Daycare.
Daycare park. I think we can work out some deal to make these two things go away. It's really confusing when one government entity owns the property and another one runs it and so on. So I think he would be amenable to working out some sort of deal. The North 40, I think there'll be an opportunity for us to be participating in that, at least in the operations part of the North 40. I don't know if he's willing to give it up. I noted in our FCC plan we have money for the North 40, and we're willing to work with the city on that, but I don't know that they're quite developed enough in their minds about where that's going to go. So I really couldn't commit to anything. My big concern is this apartment complex that's built on the high school property. Of course,
The one that's currently under?
This is the one that's under construction right now. I don't, how many units is that? I don't even know. It's a lot. It's a big project. And when I first saw that project going up, I thought, well, rats, if we'd have had our SDCs in place, we might have been able to benefit from that, because that's a lot of people we're going to serve. But in my discussions with the mayor, it turns out that, disappointingly so, that the city waived all of the taxes, the real estate taxes on that project in concert with the school district. Apparently, and I did not know this, but apparently there's a part of the statute says that if 60% of the tax rate gets together, they can waive the taxes for all the taxing entities. So, and again, I don't know the statute. I don't know if it's in an urban renewal district or an enterprise zone, or if there's some special designation for that property. It was built for low-income housing, the whole thing.
It was county property before that we voted.
Yeah. Now, the mayor's position is they were receiving nothing from that. And therefore, if they waived their own taxes, it really didn't affect them that much. The school district, although the school district wasn't represented there, the school district is paid on the head count of the number of students. So the property tax really doesn't hurt them that much, because it's made up on the back end with the state funding, right? Or vice versa.
This is the first year that our school district has been part of the state funding, this school year.
Oh, this 27 school year? Correct. Oh, okay. So,
We
but
previously were solely property and other taxes.
well, so these taxes haven't hit the market yet, but the school district will still get X number of dollars. I don't know what it is for each student. But, so they don't have the same concern about property taxes that we do. And the city doesn't have the same concern about property taxes that we do. But we have to serve all those people. And we're not gonna get a nickel in property taxes for the life of that project. And I think that is really, really disappointing. And I told the mayor that, it's disappointing that they didn't talk to us before they made this decision.
Is that true of any other, sorry, I don't
You
mean
know-
to interrupt your
No,
comments, but
then
is that
it's a
other
great
other
question,
entities?
because the only place that I had heard of that happening was in urban renewal districts, where once an urban renewal district came to an end, you could extend it if you got 60% of the tax rate vote, and that usually involves the city and the school district, and they,
I guess my question would be, is the fact that they're excluded, does that take them out of district membership?
well, that's not a question for the mayor. Obviously, I think that's a question for this group here. But, what I urged, and the mayor agreed to, is that we need to have more meetings on the board level. Because, we would have, I don't know, if the board would have had a lot to say. I would have had a lot to say if another government entity tried to waive my property tax, waive the property tax.
I think, sorry to interrupt you again, I think if I was.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, they have to help, whoever owns that property still has to chip in to the operating levy for the school district, is that right?
Currently, we don't have an operating levy.
It's just
Right now, it
It's just
hasn't, it hasn't been
It,
renewed.
it did not pass.
Right.
What I was gonna say is, though, it's not just us, though, that would be impacted, it's
the county.
That's of community college, it's
Right.
the Port of Astoria, it's
Right.
the transit district, it's the county. All those other entities, if this is true, which sounds like the mayor suggested that it is true, all those other entities also wouldn't be receiving any property taxes from, I think it's like 70 or 80 units in that development. And, those are folks that we all want to serve. So, I don't, I'm
Well,
surprised
okay,
that that's
so what was the rule that you said that is?
Well, I knew the rule in urban renewal, so if you add up all of the tax rates, like we're at 92 cents or 90-some cents, the city's at 371, what's the tax rate for the school district? I don't even know. But when you add up all the tax rates, let's say it comes to $10.
Okay.
And then, if the city could garner 60% of that, or $6 in that tax rate, then it could pass this project without levying any taxes. And I don't know what state law he's operating under, and, but I think they're doing it legal. I don't think the city has a malintent. I just don't think, we have an opportunity to present our issues. And for that, I think we need to have kind of regular meetings. And the next one would be with the superintendent and the mayor and the chair of the board, whoever that happens to be at the time. It's still me, it's me. But I think in a city this size with the 3 powerful government agencies serving it, I think we need to talk to each other. The other thing I question is I asked the mayor if they're coming out with any bonds or big programs in the future. Again, there's not enough capital in Seaside for us to rebuild our pools, without some help. But I don't want to be competing against a city bond measure or a school district bond measure if we're trying to go out for money to fund a pool. That'll be years away, but still, I think we need to coordinate our activities so we're operating in the best interest of the room. So that's my report on the mayor. We haven't planned a second meeting, but Skylar, if I sent you a thank you letter, just a text, could you put it on letterhead and send it on to the mayor or whatever? I can kind of sign it, but he deserves a thank you letter.
I looked up in this device, and I have concerns. It says there are 69 units, and they're calling, I thought that we voted down calling it Pacifica Housing because of the Pacifica projects for the kids. I thought that was actually, it says it's the Pacifica Housing.
That sounds right, I think it is the Pacific.
But Skylar has been very, diligent about making sure that our relationships with, other entities endure and continue to be positive, and I want that too. I think the mayor's amenable to positive stuff, but, they have a little different mission, so their interests are gonna be different from ours, but, I think we could work through some of these things if we had regular communications. That's my report. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to find them. Thanks.
It's good work. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, any other comments, questions? The board of directors meeting is hereby adjourned. All in favor, say yeehaw.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm really glad you got to have that conversation.
I wish